Motorists must brace for steep fuel price increases coming to effect at midnight tomorrow. The Automobile Association says it expects the price of 93 unleaded to go up by R1.15 a litre more, 95 unleaded by R1.20 a litre, and diesel by R1.18 a litre. The price of illuminating paraffin is set to increase by 63 cents. The fuel price increase will reverse much of the relief given through price drops since November 2023. Now, between November 23 and January this year, petrol prices have come down by an average of R3.20 a litre. But to look at the implications of the fuel price increase, let's chat to Layton Beard. He, of course, is the spokesperson for the Automobile Association. Layton, always a pleasure. Good to have you on the program.
Thanks, Leanne. Always a pleasure to be with you.
So perhaps just start by talking to us about the main drivers as to why we are seeing these hikes coming in and quite a significant increase.
Yeah, I mean, these increases that we're expecting are quite significant, and hopefully the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy will announce the official adjustments sometime today. We know that they come into effect on Wednesday, the first Wednesday of March. So we're hoping to get official confirmation of exactly what the adjustment is. It's going to be in the line of significant increases. And these are really based on the fact that, you know, when we look at the two drivers that influence the local fuel price, it's the Rand-US dollar exchange rate. And that's been weaker on average in February than it was in the previous month. So that's playing a role, not a massive role, but it's playing a role. But the bigger driver, obviously, is international oil prices. And those are at the mercy of international geopolitical developments. We see the issues happening in the Red Sea with the Houthis, oil cargo specifically having to be diverted from the Suez Canal through Europe, which is making oil obviously more expensive. OPEC is continuing with its production cuts. That's pushing the prices higher. We're seeing greater demand in places like North America, which is going into a winter at the moment. So these are all factors that are influencing those international oil prices. And as a result, it's becoming more expensive for us with our weak currency to purchase product, which means that we have to pay more for it. And that's being felt locally at the pumps here.
Yeah, I suppose, look, the one thing we can be happy about, if we can dig deep, because at this point we do need to dig deep to find things to be grateful for, is of course, you know, we didn't see fuel levy increases. I mean, there's the general fuel levy and the road accident fund levy. So we heard in the budget that they're going to be maintained, because had they not been, this would have even knocked us worse than what we're already seeing.
It would certainly have been. I mean, those increases would also have come into effect only in April, but the impact of those increases would have been significant. And as we make the point, and we make this every year, is that would have been felt by the poorest in our communities. You know, even a small increase to the general fuel levy of 5 or 10 cents is going to add pressure to the fuel price. And as you said in your introduction, Leanne, it has a knock-on impact. You know, when fuel prices go up, input costs become more expensive. So farmers pay more to produce goods. Retailers have to keep generators running. And we know in some cases, it's costing retailers billions to keep the lights on and to keep product fresh in freezers. So that's adding pressure. So when those fuel prices go up, those prices are also going to increase. And when those prices increase, those people who are the unfortunate beneficiaries of those increases pass them on, and consumers feel it in their baskets. So where a loaf of bread was going to cost you maybe 10 Rand, now it'll cost you 10 Rand and 10 cents. And if you combine all of the products in a basket together, the cumulative impact of that is quite significant. So where you were maybe paying 500 Rand for a basket last month, it may cost you 570 Rand this month. And for many people, that 70 Rand is something they simply don't have.
No, certainly not. It is really tough to walk out there, shop and get anything meaningful in a basket. But, you know, a question that we get over and over again is exactly what you're speaking to. We know that the fuel price goes up, which means that all the costs increase, the cost of transporting this, the cost that it takes to manufacture, from, you know, the diesel that's used to the load share, you name it, it all goes up. But we've seen the price of fuel go down since, as we mentioned in the introduction, since November to about January this year. We never see anything else going down, though. Like, we'll see the bread price go up now because, of course, it's more expensive. However, when things are given a little bit of light relief, why do they never adjust prices downwards?
I think the main reason for that is that people who are affected by those increases will hedge their bets in terms of, is this going to be a sustainable decrease over a period of time? So yes, you could say that you need to see an immediate decrease in the price of goods, but it doesn't make economic sense if within the next 3 weeks, you're going to see a jump going back up again. So what would typically happen is that if there are decreases over a sustained period of time, 4 to 6 months, you will start seeing those decreases filtering into the prices of goods. But it's not enough if the price comes down only for 1 month or even 2 or 3 months. It needs to be sustained over a period of time to make it viable for the people who are affected by those input costs, farmers, retailers, the manufacturing sector, mining sector, for those people to say, well, we are seeing a significant decrease in our input costs, therefore we can pass that on. And unfortunately, that is the way that economic cycle works. The impact of an increase, on the other hand, is almost absolutely immediate and felt. And that's why we do see that often big disparity between increases resulting in increased prices, but decrease not necessarily seeing or materializing at the till immediately after.
Yeah. I mean, we saw last year, I don't know when it was, where we saw the highest prices that we've ever paid for fuel happening in South Africa. I remember actually it's a memory that came to my mind, filming the petrol pump as it was being filled up. And I was watching this price just tick higher and higher and higher, and realizing I wasn't winning anything. I may have thought I was in a casino, but at the end of the day, I was actually losing all that money. It was insane. So perhaps you can help us.
And you know, people, Leanne, I mean, people, we talk about people in the middle class sector. I mean, even people in those sectors, normally they would have put maybe 1,000 Rand of fuel in their vehicle, or 500 Rand at the beginning of the month. And they would see, okay, well, this gives me 500 kilometers range, or this is going to take me for a week, or whatever the case is. Now you're putting fuel in your vehicle and you're thinking, oh, good grief, I'm going to last 2 days on this. I'm going to last 3 days on this, or whatever the case is. So it's your experience is something that I think is shared by very many people across the country.
Very much so. But just help us understand, if we're looking forward, is it possible, firstly, to actually predict and calculate what we possibly can see happening to us this year? What is the kind of forecast for where we're at?
Look, as I said in the beginning, you've got two main factors that drive the fuel price locally. One being international oil prices, very volatile, goes up and down, is monitored on a daily basis. And, any risk, or rather, there are so many risk factors that could influence that. It could go higher, by $1 one day. It could come lower the next day. It's a very volatile number. And it's very difficult to peg, over a 24-hour period, let alone over a week or a month. So you don't really know what's going to happen there. The situation in the Middle East, the issue around the Red Sea, I mean, these could inflame, these could get a lot better, and those could all impact on that. OPEC plus countries are cutting production, or they're continuing to cut production. That is playing a role. So all of these factors are very volatile, so it's very difficult to say. Same with the Rand US dollar exchange rate. We see one day it's at 1911, the next day it's at 1907, the next day it's at 1920, maybe it comes down to 1901. Very difficult to pick. So you have to look at these things on average over a period of a month, which is exactly what South Africa does. So therefore, what I'm trying to say is to give you a look at what's going to happen in a month is impossible, let alone looking ahead 2 or 3 months ahead. But our advice to motorists locally is always budget for a worst case scenario than what you currently have at the moment. Build a bit of fat into that budget of yours and ensure that you've got enough money, especially if you are reliant on a vehicle or you're reliant on public transport, and those may be affected by fuel price changes. Make sure that you've got enough fat in that budget. Obviously not always easy. It may mean that you need to cut on other things, but that is certainly something that people need to start thinking about.
Yeah, predictions hitting 25 Rand a litre. I mean, this is dramatic. It really is. I know we don't have too much time, but is there obviously anything that the government can do to assist? We spoke about the fact that the levies are not being increased, but I mean, when we look at it, there's just some. They got the slate levies there, the general fuel levies there, the road accident fund levy, the basic fuel price, the wholesale and retail margins and distribution costs. There's so much factored into the price of petrol.
Yeah.
Is there any relief that can be brought to consumers?
Yeah, it's a great question, Leanne, and something we get asked quite often. I think that one of the things that we've been calling for is exactly what you've been mentioning, and that's a review of the fuel price, to audit all the numbers and the line items that comprise a litre of fuel, and to determine whether all of those line items are necessary and add value to the fuel price. And I think even if that exercise proves that everything there is legitimate and needed, it would give peace of mind to consumers. But we think that that's an important step. This issue of the levies is a very critical one. You look at the general fuel levy, our view is you can't simply scrap that. Government will just find another mechanism to raise that very important tax that it collects. There are other taxes on the fuel price. We look at the road accident fund levy. I think a lot of people question the benefits we get from the RAF levy, especially considering the management problems that exist at that institution. So we think there is wiggle room somewhere in that fuel price, but a review of that fuel price is absolutely critical to determine exactly where that wiggle room is.
All right, Layton, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much. We'll wait for that official price increase, which we obviously always get that announcement coming through just before that price goes up. Layton Beard, the spokesperson for Automobile Association, unpacking the steep price that's expected. Minimum R1.15 is what's expected for all grades of fuel, even R1.20 predicted. So, you know, it's a tight one. It really is a big one that should be coming in at midnight tomorrow.